Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this episode, what I'm going to talk about is the summertime cookout. More specifically, the summertime cookout for the Southern Edition. And the reason why I say Southern Edition is because, um, first and foremost, big shout out to OTR Mike. I was listening to his podcast, and OTR Mike made a comment about, you know, how things should go down at a cookout. Um, and so, or some people refer to it as barbecue. We call it cookouts in the South. Um, and of course, OTR Mike's in Maryland at the DMV, and then my brother Baylor, on his podcast, did a remix, if you will, to OTR Mike's podcast, talking about how you handle yourself at cookouts on the West Side, on the West Coast. Baylor's from LA, so I'm gonna do a remix, and I'm gonna give you the Southern edition of the summertime cookout, the do's and don'ts, if you will. First and foremost, like, be clear. If you follow me, particularly if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, or even Twitter sometimes, you know that, like, I grill a lot. Like, grilling is like almost second nature. It was something that was kind of instilled in me growing up in South Carolina. We just grill, and I'll give you an example. Like, a lot of times I will just throw food on the grill on a random Sunday, and it ain't necessarily for a whole bunch of people to come over. It's for I grill for the week, and then that way all you got to do is add your sides and stuff throughout the week. So if I do a steak if Sunday comes, and let's say I do steak, hamburger, chicken, pork chops, we're not eating all of that in one day, right? And hot dogs. Let me throw that in there too. So the hot dogs could be like the kids eat it for lunch or whatever. Hamburger could be like a little snack or whatever. And then, the rest of the meats, you pick them and place them throughout the week. And, that's less that you got to cook during the week. So I do it like that. And then for me being from the South and living in the city of Atlanta, like, weather doesn't stop me. I mean, like, OTR Mike, like I said, he's in the DMV. It gets cold up there. In Atlanta, we have relatively mild winters. This past winter was incredibly mild. I mean, we didn't have many days less than 25 degrees. I can't really think of maybe 3 or 4 days, something like that. Didn't get any snow, thankfully, because Atlantans can't drive in snow. We all know that. But well, Southerners can't drive in snow, period. That's just a fact. So me getting on the grill doesn't have anything to do with the weather. So, like, maybe with the exception of it raining, I'm on the grill, and I'm on the grill a lot. And a lot of times I post it on, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. But now when you're talking about the summertime cookout, that's when you're having when you're having a cookout, you got people coming over. So that means I'm cooking for I'm cooking for more than just my immediate family, right? That's a little bit different, but the rules still apply, right? So, like I said, after listening to it, and I told Baylor, I was gonna do a remix to his remix. So this is the maxi single remix, if you will. Just to give you some do's and don'ts on the cookouts, because again, at the time of this recording, it's summertime, it's hot. You're gonna go to cookouts during the summer. If you're outside, most of you listening, you're gonna have summer weather, and it may involve you, getting out and going to a cookout or two. But there's a certain in the South, there's a certain decorum, if you will, that you have to have, right? And these will be in no particular order, but like, one, if you're going to somebody's cookout, know whose cookout you're going to. And I know what you're probably thinking, like, that doesn't make any sense. No, you'd be surprised. And again, I can only speak. I can't speak for I can't speak for LA. I can't speak for LA. I can't speak for the DMV, OTR Mike. But you'd be surprised how many people in the South will go to a cookout and don't know who's throwing the cookout. I can't even say that I've never done that before, because I have. I remember one time, this was like, I know Dion wasn't born. So it's like 98. I was new in Atlanta. And it's me and my boy Will. Shout out to Will. And Will hit me up and he was like, yo, I know this chick that's having a cookout. And I was like, all right, bet. And so I was living in Decatur, which is on the east side. Will was living in Marietta, which is like the northwest side. But the cookout was in College Park, which is the west side. So he was like, you want to go to this cookout? And I'm like, I was single at the time, so I'm like, is it gonna be any women there? And he's like, yeah, she got some friends, da 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 da. I'm like, all right, bet. So we'll go. And so I met up with him, dropped my car off, or me. I think maybe he came to get me. He came and got me. And so then we take a trip to the other side, to the west side, to College Park. And so he hits the chick up, and he told me her name, but like, I don't remember her name or anything. And so I'm not asking any questions. I'm assuming like we're going to a house and, it's a big yard, and because that's how we did it in South Carolina, but he don't tell me any of this stuff. And then to his credit, I didn't ask either. So it ain't all on him. So we go to this cookout and it's in an apartment. And I think he called the girl before we left to like tell her like, yo, I'm on the way. And the crazy part about it was the cookout was it was like, by the time Will got to my house, probably like 4:00. But the cookout was supposed to go to like 5. And, she had kind of, I don't know, he didn't tell me the whole story. But anyway, long story short, she made it sound like it was kind of dying down or whatever. So we ride all the way out to College Park. And so he's like, man, Shorty said, it's kind of dead over there. And I was like, kind of dead? What you mean? He was like, ain't really a lot of people left. And I was like, well, shit, we on the way. We might as well get some food. And so we pull up, hop out, go in the crib or whatever like that. And and again, I don't know the girl. This is some girl that I guess Will was kicking it with. I don't even know. We go in the spot and she's like, hey, y'all get some food or whatever like that. So we went in the kitchen, fix us a plate. Will fix him a plate. I fixed me a plate. I said hello to the young lady. She came over. She talked for about 5 minutes. And there was like 4 people in the apartment. There was nobody outside, no nothing. And there was an older woman sitting like in the back of the room. And, we spoke or whatever. And I just felt so awkward. Like, I'm eating this. I'm about to take this food to go, because we literally were at this cookout for 10 minutes. It took us about a half hour to ride from Decatur to College Park because we got caught in traffic and it was just crazy. And I ain't know these people. And so like, it was just a lesson to me. Like, and we really just grabbed and dashed. And looking back on it, it was kind of disrespectful. You just don't do that. So in the South, man, understand where you're going and whose house you're going to eat at. That's rule number 1. Number 2, and again, these are in no particular order. When you get to somebody's cookout, do yourself a favor. Speak to everybody that you come in contact with, old and young. The reason being is that especially if you're going someplace that you don't know or you don't know the people, and you just know maybe you might know the host, you might know somebody's cousin, somebody's auntie, somebody's uncle. It's if you speak, it becomes you become less problematic in their eyes, right? You're not a threat because naturally, if you're going to a cookout and people are, let's say there's a family of people eating, and you ain't in the family, they gonna want to know who you are. And truth be told, you can't just run up on everybody's cookout. In some neighborhoods, it's a problem. In some neighborhoods, people will stop you and be like, "Yo, who are you? Who you with? Who are your people?" Um, so in that instance, like the story I just told you about me and Will, like somebody really should have stopped us. Like, "Hey, who are y'all? Y'all?" I mean, like we literally, I felt bad afterwards because, and the food was slamming though. I got to admit, the food was slamming, but, but, but I felt bad because like I didn't know nobody, and we were there 10 minutes tops. The chick probably talked to us for 5 minutes. So we might have been there 8 minutes because after Will finished talking to her, Will's like, all right, well, we gonna head back to the east. We'll holler at you. He's like, I gotta take my man back to his crib because he gotta go to work tomorrow. Yeah, I'm like, it's a Saturday. I ain't working on Sunday. He was lying on me and shit. And so but that was the move for us to, bounce. So yeah, a word to the wise, know the people where you're going to eat. Another Baylor, when you go to somebody's cookout, bring something. You can't just bring your appetite. You got to bring something. Even if you don't bring something, ask the people who are throwing the cookout, hey, do you need me to bring something? Because I'm going to tell you something. There's always something that's going to be needed at the cookout. You might need to bring ice. You might need to bring paper plates. You might need to bring napkins. You might need to bring paper cups. You don't have to bring a dish yourself. Sometimes people do. I ain't necessarily in that. That ain't necessarily my get down or how I do it. But, and at the very least, if all else fails, bring some liquor. You never go wrong with bringing liquor. Now, here's the thing. If you, in the South, Baylor, OTR Mike, if you bring some liquor to the cookout, the liquor stays. Don't bring liquor and then take it with you. I mean, if you bring some Ciroc or you bring some what's that fruity stuff y'all be drinking? I can't think of it. But let's say you bring some Ciroc. You bring your apple Ciroc. And let's say it's like you had to cook out for a couple of hours and it's like halfway down. People ain't really drinking or whatever like that. Leave it there. Don't take the Ciroc with you. You can't. That's bad. That's bad Southern. We don't do that in the South. We don't. I don't. Now the only, what? I'm gonna say this. If I brought a bottle of Ciroc with me to the cookout and nobody drank it and it was untouched, I'm still going to leave it there at the person's house unless the person says, well, hey, look, I don't drink. If they don't drink, then I'll take it back with me. But other than that, I mean, somebody's going to drink it up. Somebody, And when it comes to this is an old thing I think that needs to be talked about, particularly at the Southern cookouts. If you bring something, don't bring beer. Unless somebody specifically tells you to bring beer. But if somebody tells you to bring beer, ask what brand. Don't bring your brand that you drink. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I don't drink beer. Never been really a fan of beer. I mean, every now and then, every 2 or 3 years, I might drink a Corona with a lime. But other than that, I had my little club stage when I was going through. Well, I was drinking Heinekens, but the thought of me drinking a Heineken right now hurts my stomach. Um, but no, it's not. No, if you're gonna drink, bring beer. Somebody just say, hey, we'll just grab a 12 pack of whatever. Ask them specifically what kind of beer that you need to bring. And the reason being is a lot of I'm not even gonna say women. I've seen dudes do this where they bring the beer that they like. So you like Budweiser, right? You bring a 12 pack of Budweiser, and guess what? Nobody's drinking that shit. So at the end of the night, when the cookout is over, you know what? You're gonna look and say, "Oh man, that's my Budweiser over there. Nobody touched. Let me go ahead and take it back with me." Don't do that, man. Don't do that. You got to bring something with you. I'm not really, unless you're a family of the cookout, the people throwing the cookout. Don't bring a dish. Don't bring a dish that you cooked yourself. If you're gonna bring a dish, bring something that you can purchase. I.e., bring a cake. Don't bake a cake yourself. Because nobody wants to eat your cake, dog. They don't. I'm telling you. Nobody wants to eat your pie. Nobody wants to eat your fruit cake. I don't know why you would you bring a fruit cake to I don't know why you would bring a fruit cake to a cookout anyway, but I'm just saying. And if you are making, a cookout staple. And what I mean by that is a cookout staple is something like potato salad. In the South, potato salad is a cookout staple. Here's the thing. You can buy potato salad from the grocery store. So you ain't got to make potato salad. But if you so choose, if you feel inclined to make your own potato salad, season the potato salad. Not only season the potato salad, don't put stuff in the potato salad like raisins. That shit ain't gonna fly. It's not. I don't know anybody that puts raisins in potato salad, but I've seen it done. And I've heard that it's been done. If I'm ever at a place where you got raisins in a potato salad, I'm leaving that cookout because y'all ain't living right. Y'all not, something's not right there. Something's wrong with that picture. But yeah, I'm a big fan of if people tell you, well, hell, hey, bring a dish. If they tell you to bring a dish, and again, unless you're family, and even sometimes with family, because sometimes family can't cook either. Your best bet is to bring a dish that you didn't cook. Bring a dish that you purchased. Because here's the thing. If you go and you go to the grocery store and you say, well, you know what? I think a sweet potato pie would be dope at this cookout. Okay, cool. Go get you a patty pie. And see, here's the key about that. If you go get a patty pie and you bring it to the cookout and people eat it and they don't like it, it ain't your fault. It's a patty pie. It's Patty's fault. But if you make that pie, if you make that pie and that pie don't come off as hitting, man, listen, they will talk shit about you until the cows come. And I can't say everybody. Let me just speak for Black people because I'm Black. I don't know if you know this or not. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. You can see that I'm Black. Black folks will roast your ass for the food that you attempt to make and fail horribly at. If if you are the one cooking on the grill, if you're the chef, if you're chefing it up, know the particulars of the people who are eating the food that you're preparing. And that's something that I do when I have people over when I'm cooking on the grill. What I mean by that is, if I'm cooking on the grill and let's say, I don't know, let's say Mo comes over, and let's say Mo is a vegan, so he wants a veggie, excuse me, he wants a veggie burger. I can't cook the veggie burger next to on the same grill or the same rack as the regular beef burger, because now you're mixing the juices and all of that stuff. So you got to know your personnel. So if you have people who have special things or they want things cooked a certain way, ask first and then cook accordingly. Because here's the thing, like let's say you make a steak. Some people like their steaks medium well. Some people like their steaks medium. Personally, I couldn't eat a steak like that, but hey, some people like the steaks well done. I like mine medium well. Some people like theirs rare. That's what I meant to say. They like them rare. I mean, I'm not eating a rare steak. Medium well that's how I get down. But no, I mean, you can't. And even if you like it well done, you can't cook a steak well done for somebody who wants it rare. They ain't gonna eat that shit. So just know who you're cooking for, and be mindful of that. Another thing you got to do when you're going to somebody's cookout, respect the spot where you at. And what I mean by that, Baylor, is just understand where you are. So, like, again, I'm from Florence, South Carolina. It's not a very big place, much smaller than where I live in Atlanta. But like, if you go to somebody's cookout, you pull up, you see cars in the yard. You'll see some cars on the, not in the driveway, but you'll see cars like along the side of the road. If you don't see any car, like, I'll give you an example, because like we have a long driveway. If you don't see cars in the driveway, that means that they've clearly left a path for people who live there, if they got to make a run to the store or go pick somebody up, for them to be able to get out and not say, hey, whose green Monte Carlo is that blocking me in? So just respect where you at. I mean, like, and that goes for, the music. Don't come up, don't pull up bumping your latest 2 Chainz song all loud and shit, and it's blasting with cuss words and Lil Johnny and Lil Susie in the front yard playing. There's kids out there. Respect it. That's another thing about cookouts too. If you're going to play music, be mindful of the music that you play. That was a big thing at cookouts I used to go to, and the cookouts we had, especially when I was growing up. Like, no, you can play music and you can play hip hop. Can't play the music with the cussing in it, because the older people, they gonna hear that cussing, and as soon as they hear that cuss, who put that music on with all that goddamn cussing? You gotta turn it off. So yeah, respect the crib. You gotta respect the crib, man. Another don't get drunk. Don't get drunk. I mean, like, don't get drunk. I mean, I can't really put it any more clear. Don't get drunk at the cookout. The reason being is because, like, at every cookout, I don't care where you are, particularly in the South, I don't care where you are, there's always gonna be a memorable moment from the cookout. Like, I remember we had a cookout one time, and we had we had a cookout, and we also had a pool party. We had a pool. We have a pool. And this guy from up the street, he came up and he had been drinking. He had a couple of Bud Lights, and he was walking around the pool. And if you like, we had cement around the pool or whatever, and then chairs and stuff. So he got up from the chair, but he was walking around the pool. And now the closer that you get to the water, the slippery. I mean, obviously you got people walking around and stuff like that, but it's wet. And I mean, like, it's slippery. So this dude, he's walking around and he's got a Bud Light in his hand, and he gets too close to the edge and he's drunk and he slips in the pool. He slips in the pool. I don't even know if he could swim, but he slipped in the pool. He had been drinking. He had Bud Light in his hand, and like 3 people had to die. And he slipped into, because our pool goes to 8 feet. He slipped into the 8 feet. He didn't fall into like the 3 feet of water where he could stand up. He fell into the deep end of the pool, and like his son and a couple other people had to dive in with their clothes on to try to save this dude, man. It was scary for about 5 seconds, and then that shit was hilarious as they pulled his drunk ass out of the pool. And that story is still like a running joke between me and my friends. And this has been what, 30 something years, probably? No, yeah, it's been at least 30 years, because I was in high school. So yeah, respect the crib wherever you at. Don't get drunk. Yeah, you can't get drunk, man. I mean, because like, you're particularly now, if you're the host might get drunk. We never had anybody get drunk from our family, or whatever like that. But when people get drunk, they start, they say liquor's, the truth serum. They start telling the truth, and I never liked you, and your wife be looking at me, I mean, a whole bunch of stuff can happen. So yeah, don't be don't get drunk. What's another one? I would say don't be selfish. And what I mean by that is when it's time, when it's time for you to get a plate, if you see that it's only like 2 hamburgers left, don't get the last 2 hamburgers, dog. Don't get the last 2 hamburgers. Be very mindful about what it is that you take. So, and that goes back to, like I said, about, the beer and the liquor. Don't be selfish. Don't be greedy. People don't like greedy people. I mean, like, you don't know. Somebody could have saw those 2 hamburgers and been like, you know what, man, I'm going to go back and give me a hamburger. I'm about to go over here, talk to this person. I'll come back over here and get me one of these last hamburgers. So if you're taking a plate, yeah, get you 1 hamburger. You don't need 5 hamburgers. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessary. Not necessary at all. Yeah, so don't be greedy. Because people will spot you out. And more importantly, people will call you out. Another thing too, at the cookouts, if you make a mess, clean it up. Particularly if you're outside. Because like, here's the thing: if you drop a hot dog, pick the hot dog up and put it in the trash. Because if you don't, that's going to attract, depending on where they live, that can attract animals, rodents. It can attract, anything. So you want to make sure that you clean up behind yourself. I mean, and God forbid, if you're in somebody's house, because see, that's the thing too about cookouts, particularly in the South, because the weather is warm or hot, you're going to have a situation where there's going to be some people, most of the people are going to be outside. Then there are going to be some people, probably the older people, they're going to be inside. So you can't make a mess inside. If you make a mess inside somebody's house, that's problematic in and of itself. So clean up behind yourself. If you make a mess, or, God forbid, like I remember we were at this cookout, and how can I put this, Baylor? Somebody who we don't know had a stomach ache. And so they went to the bathroom. And let's just say they went to the bathroom and they clogged the toilet. You got to get somebody to come help you fix that toilet, because you can't just walk out and be like, all right, cool. This ain't no public bathroom. So yeah, it's like that. I mentioned getting a plate. Listen, and this is where OTR Mike's episode really took off. If you are getting a plate to go and it's not your cookout, let's say you're a guest, let the host or the person who invited you get you to the plate. Get you to the place where you can get a plate. Let them come with you. Don't go solo. The reason why we say that is because you're coming as a guest. You weren't invited. I don't want to say you weren't invited, but you're someone's guest. So if I'm at Baylor's crib and we go to somebody else's cookout and I'm with Baylor and I'm his guest, but he got invited to the cookout, then I need Baylor to come with me, or the person that invited Baylor needs to come with me when I go get me a plate to go. And again, you can't be greedy. Get yourself a couple of things and then bounce. Unless somebody tells you specifically, and you'll hear this at Southern Cookouts, oh man, take as much as you want. You'll hear that sometimes, because sometimes there's too much food. Like we had last summer, we had a family reunion, and it was funny because I just remember seeing like big troughs of mac and cheese. I had some of the mac and cheese. The mac and cheese was okay. It wasn't, I'm very particular about mac and cheese. It was okay, but I guess everybody else kind of felt the same way. So it was a lot left over. So when it was time to go, it were, family members packing plates and stuff like that. They had they actually brought styrofoam containers so that you could, take a plate. Because they obviously, it's a family reunion. You don't want to have food left over because ain't nobody gonna eat it, and after a couple of days it's gonna get thrown out. So you don't want to waste food. And there was a good bit of fried chicken left. People were taking the fried chicken, but not a lot of people were taking that mac and cheese. I wasn't touching that mac and cheese again. I had what I do is when I'm eating somebody else's mac and cheese that I've never had before, normally what I'll do is I will get a very, very small portion and I'll nibble on that to see if I like it. If I like it, I'll go back for seconds. If I don't like it, that's it. So, but yeah, just be mindful of that. Let the person who either brought you there or whoever's hosting, let them take you to the food. Or better yet, let them bring you something. You can't be the outsider going to get the food. No, that just ain't gonna happen, because somebody gonna call you out. That's a given. But you always and ask first, or let someone offer you to get a second plate or a plate to go. What else? Here's another one. OTR Mike and Baylor. Be careful in the partners that you choose to bring to the cookout, meaning the member of the opposite sex that you're interested in, or the member of the same sex that you're interested in. The reason being is that if you come to a cookout and you're with that partner or significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you want to call it, more often than not, there's going to be somebody who's going to ask you who he or she is to you, and they're going to try to get in your business. So if I show up to the cookout with Tasha and I'm at OTR Mike's cookout, OTR Mike's auntie might say, well, hey, 12 Kyle, who's this young lady you with? Oh, that's my friend Tasha. Tasha, this is OTR Mike's auntie. She may stop the questioning there, or she may dig a little deeper. And if she digs a little deeper, she's gonna be personal. It's particularly depending on how well we know each other. So if I know OTR Mike's auntie like my auntie, she might say, "Hey, y'all serious? Are y'all living together? I mean, or it may be like my late great Uncle Joe, my dad's Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe would just ask you straight up, "Hey man, you put a rubber on? Y'all fucking?" Uncle Joe, that's just who Uncle Joe was, man. I mean, like he was straight to the point. He'll ask you straight up. I mean, I was like 14. He was like, "Hey man, you fucking?" Just like that. And I mean, like everybody would look like, "Oh man, it's just Uncle Joe acting fool." But Uncle Joe was just crazy like that. God bless his soul. So choose your partners wisely, because again, whoever your partner is, when they come to the cookout, particularly if it's a family cookout, and then you invite your partner to the cookout, your family's going to grill that person and ask them, ouch, I keep hitting my hand on this thing. They're going to ask them questions, and you better be prepared, or ask you questions, and you better be prepared to answer the questions. What else? Obviously, summertime cookouts, have fun. Don't embarrass yourself. Understand too, especially now, this didn't happen in 1995, but now there is always a cell phone videotaping somebody. So if your drunk Uncle Reggie gets up and starts dancing, if your inebriated Aunt Foxy starts twerking and she's in her mid-50s, understand that that's going to end up on somebody's video, and understand that that's going to end up on social media at some point. And understand that, it may end up on TikTok, and it may become a viral moment that you had no idea was actually going to happen. So understand that your family at a cookout can embarrass you, and they might. Or your guests could embarrass you, and they might. So, kind of set the boundaries like, hey, man, look, don't do this, don't do that, so forth and so on. But overall, man, the southern cookouts are dope. You're going to eat good. Cookouts generally in the South don't start on time. So if cookout starts at 4, I say probably if you're there by 5, you good. You don't want to be there at 4. And I'm going to tell you why, because if you're there at 4 o'clock, somebody's going to ask you to do something. You have to put up some balloons. You have to make a store run. And you the guest, you're like, you just showed up. So like, they'll put you to work. Conversely, if you're at the cookout at the end of the cookout, they'll put you to work. You'll have to load up somebody's car and put some chairs away and this and that. But Southern cookouts, they're a lot of fun. Like I said, I grill all the time. I'm cooking out all the time. I don't always have people over. It's been a minute since I mean, other than my in-laws, it's been, I think the last time we did something was when Dion and Cameron had a birthday party. But that was probably about 5 years ago. But I do cookouts, and I'll go to a cookout. I'll go to a couple of cookouts, each year. But I just know how we get down in the South, and it's just like the old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I just do that and stay out the way. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Got to shout out OTR Mike for his episode, and shout out my boy Baylor for the remix. This is the maxi single remix, if you will. Be sure to check out this episode and all the other podcasts. My podcast, the 12 Kyle podcast, drops every Thursday at midnight. From time to time, we do bonus episodes on Sundays. If you feel so inclined, hit us up on Cash App, $TWELVEKYLE. Like I said, download, subscribe, share. That's very important. Yeah, that's about it. Again, I'm your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5G.